It's here. It's available. A brand new book with 4 brand new short stories. Adventures in space and fiction fantasy. The chanting had changed into prayer form. Formulas that came twisting and turning from each person, hanging in space above their heads. The formulas were green and mixed with the words of the prayers. They all joined and became larger and stronger before disappearing through the roof of the cave. Norman remained speechless as the dimensional numbers cascaded above, generated from the left bracket. Jim and Gale concentrated on the Monadic Chair, and the number 60 flashed on and off several times. The word accepted appeared underneath as Jim sent their physical bodies on their way. The travel in the analogy was similar to floating along a long corridor of an art gallery. There were picture frames on either side of what seemed like blank canvases as they moved down. "I am impressed," uttered Gale, turning to Jim. "This building is impenetrable." "Oh, I don't know," replied Jim, as Gale knew the expression on his face and waited for the quip. "We're in." She slapped his arm gently. "You know what I mean. Impenetrable to a physical presence." "Hitting a senior officer," said Jim with a false look of surprise. "That is a serious offence." "So is murdering you," replied Gale with a straight face. "But I will refrain from that." "Always the last word," Jim laughed. Then seriously, "Let's try and find Mr. Gallagher." Gigantic magnetic eruptions of fire and plasma sped out and around them, causing Gale apprehension. The noise was horrendous, even in spiritual form. The searing roar of the flames and the incessant crackle of magnetism made simple communication almost impossible. They were observing nearby 1,000,000 hydrogen bombs exploding every second. He believed her. Only science would recognize such items. "Did you see the formulas and equations?" he asked, trying to understand the enormity of what she had seen. She nodded, looking into his eyes through their visors. "This is something of great significance. It is like looking through the eyes of God." Groster raised his eyebrows for a moment. "I thought you were an atheist," he said in surprise, turning towards the sphere. "I am," she replied. "If there is a God, this is the nearest thing to." Jim tried to clarify. "Which of these sounds more pleasing to a megalomaniac?" "The great gun of Xerospheric," said Gale and Norman in unison, each staring at the other in a surprising unity. Jim laughed. "Great minds think alike." "More like unlike minds think great," said Gale defensively. "With that last word from you, Frosty," said Jim with a chuckle, "we shall proceed to the purported location and find the great gun." She was annoyed and tried to give him a clue. "Think of magnetism and don't be exasperating. Put a magnet below a shield of paper and sprinkle iron filings on top." Jim interrupted. "You can see the magnetic energy fields, otherwise they are an invisible force." "Exactly," she said with a pronounced clarity. "We may be looking at gravity or dark energy or matter." Get your special introduction to Jim Long's Space Agent. Download the free handbook now. You have just listened to excerpts from Adventures in Space and Fantasy Fiction. 4 brand new short stories in a brand new book. Download and read now. www.sciencefictionfantasy.uk. Don't forget, www.sciencefictionfantasy.uk.